Hello, and welcome to this Wildstorm Lightning tutorial. I should let you know, Wildstorm Lightning and the toolkit have updated, and they are both pretty major updates, especially the one for the toolkit. Actually, the toolkit will not work with Wildstorm if you do not get this update, so you probably want to go over to the Wildstorm website and grab the new binaries. I showed you how to do that in a previous tutorial. Go back and watch it if you don't remember how, but I'm going to show you how to update Wildstorm really quickly. I'm going to open up my Wildstorm folder. You don't have to keep it here or call it release. I just extracted it this way in the first tutorial, so I'm keeping it like that. Or not in the first tutorial, tutorial 1. The first tutorial is tutorial 0. Go ahead and take wildstormlightning.exe from your Wildstorm folder, throw it in the recycle bin, and you can delete that if you like. And then go right into the WSL R3 folder that you downloaded. Go into the release directory and copy wildstormlightning.exe or wsl.exe into your release folder. And there we go. We've updated Wildstorm. And of course, if you're updating the toolkit, you just delete the toolkit executable. Alright, so let's launch the toolkit, and I'll tell you what we're doing today. Don't worry, it's very safe. Today, we are creating our first entity in Wildstorm. If you don't remember what an entity is, go back to tutorial 0. I'll leave a link in the description, and watch the tutorial and understand the concept of an entity, which is basically a game object. Now, I want to let you know, when you launch the toolkit, always, if you don't enter anything else, enter C:. If you don't enter anything else, please enter that. If you're loading from a flash drive or something, obviously use E, use your head, or something like that. But the reason I make it so you have to enter C:, and I don't just do it automatically in the toolkit, is so you can load from, say, another partition on your hard drive, or you can load from a flash drive, like I just said, or a disk, or some sort of network drive, something like that. So I'm going to go to my directory for Wildstorm, which is this release folder on my desktop. You don't have to have it there, I'll call it that. Just check that directory. Okay. Oops. I don't want that. Alright, so I'm going to show you the settings that you're going to have for an entity. Now, actually, with this tutorial, I'm going to provide an SRC in a bin folder for you. I mean these two. So you're going to delete these and download them from the tutorial. But I'm not going to include the code for the entity or any of the files for the entity. For learning purposes, I'm going to make you do that on your own if you want to learn how to use Wildstorm. So go ahead and hit 1 and then enter. But I'm going to hit 0 and enter so I can, since I've already created the file. You're going to want to name it first entity. I've set it up in the code so it's actually called first entity. And if you don't know what I mean by code, you probably want to go learn the Lua scripting / programming language, and I will try to link you some tutorials for that in the description. So go ahead and enter first entity for the name when you get to this menu. So you enter option 3 and enter first entity. And remember, if the information is not updated here on this menu, hit 0, enter, and it will give you updated information. Alright, notice here that the component ID is 0, the object ID is 0, we will initialize, we will refresh, we will not destroy, and we will not destroy on creation. Also notice where our scripts are located, or our code is located for the entity. src/script/objects, then the object name, and then the script name. This is the convention for this. src/script/objects, the object's name, and then whatever state we're talking about. Initialize, refresh, or destroy, .lua, respectively. And then, of course, physics.lua if you're talking about the physical behavior. And this does not actually create the script. The reason for it doesn't automatically enter the file directory either. And the reason for that is, if say I had a generic script that I used for all of my entities, and didn't want to store it in a specific entity folder, and I wanted to store it somewhere else, I could do that and use it fairly easily. And for destroy script, just put null, which I believe it should just default to. Alright, with the updated toolkit anyway. So just quickly look at those settings and put them down. If you need help, GCG Games has a forum you can go onto. I will link to it in the description. Alright, so I'm actually going to get out of here and go to the main menu, which saves. Enter there and quit, because I'm not going to need the toolkit for the rest of this tutorial. Remember, if you don't know what an entity is, go watch the first tutorial, Tutorial 0. Alright, so I'm going to explain the code now. So I'm going to open up the release folder. I'm going to go to src, scripts, objects, first entity. Be sure to call first entity, and I'm going to open it with Notepad++ because that is my text editor of choice. However, you can use Notepad by default, or you can download another text editor. So what this does is when the entity is created or instantiated, quote quote, we're going to print creating entity, and then we're going to print a new line, and we're going to indent twice. Then we're going to indent twice again. We're going to print entity successfully created and create a new line. I'm actually going to put a period here. You can put anything you like in here, but that's just what I put. So you can put a silly message or something if you want, but you might want to make it descriptive. And later we'll get into how this is sort of a standard debugging technique. Let's open up refresh.lua, and you'll see something similar. So, as I described before in Tutorial 0, the refresh script is sort of like when a movie calls, or a movie has frames. Each refresh is sort of, every time refresh happens, this script happens. It happens like frames in a movie. It happens over and over and over and over again until the entity is destroyed. And as you can see, we're going to indent twice. We're going to print entity beginning refresh, make a new line, then we're going to say entity refreshed and make a new line and indent twice before that. Okay. So I'm going to show you how this runs. Now remember to copy and paste the files from the description into here. So delete these and copy and paste the ones from the description. I'm not going to give you the entity code. Please remember that. So just remember to do that before you execute Lightstorm. So this shortcut just leads to the Lightstorm executable in this folder. So I just prefer to use the shortcut. And you can see this little window comes up. And this is actually what we're going to look at, so I can move the Lightstorm window a little bit. What will I do? Oh, I think I don't have an updated version. One moment. This is why you need to update the toolkit. Because of this. This line actually makes Lightstorm crash. So that's a perfect example of why you need to update the toolkit, which I myself have not done apparently. So launch Lightstorm. And there you go. You can see the Lightstorm window. This is the console output. I put this message here, level refreshed, level refreshing, and you can see entity beginning refresh, entity refreshed. Now if we were to pause the input when Lightstorm launched, let me get out of Lightstorm, give that a minute to exit, then you would see the initialize message. Remember, the initialize script only runs once. So let me open up initialize.lua and enter io.read. This is the input method for Lua, so it will not continue until you hit enter on your keyboard. Okay. Creating level, creating entity, entity successfully created. So if we go to the script, you'll see creating entity successfully created. And if you notice after we press enter, that is never ever printed again. But what is printed over and over again is what is inside refresh.lua. Okay, so you might be asking, well, you said this was a game object, but I don't see a game object in WhiteStorm. All I see is a blank window and a boring console. Well, that's because entities can't actually be seen. Entities are game objects without a position or orientation. So, hence we can't add a visual component to them because we don't know where we would put it on the screen, or what size it would be, or how it would be rotated. That we'll get into in another tutorial, possibly the next one. But if you would like to play around with that, I'm going to show you a file to do that, to learn how to do that. So I'm going to open up command prompts here. I'm going to go right into my project directory. Desktop. Hold on. Actually, let me show you on the GitHub real quick. Go to the GitHub. So the way you do that is www.gcggames.wordpress.com/wsl/site/main.html. Go right on over to the download page and go to get the engine source. You don't actually have to download the source to do this. Click on the WSL folder and go to WhiteStorm Lightning.h. One moment, please. And if you look in the folder, you will see all the methods and variables that are wrapped to Lua. So all the methods and variables we can access from Lua. So if you're a bit curious, look at this file. If you understand C++, you should be able to get this. Basically, this is just naming the method, and then great job highlighting the deprecated method, and then what method will be called. So if we you might actually want to go to the definitions of some of these methods to see the parameters. So for example, if I wanted to go see what the parameter for set ID was in positional, I would hit the back button. I would go right down to positional.h. You don't have to look at the implementation, just the interface. One moment while I find it. Here we go. And I would go down to set ID. Set ID, which is declared in entity.h. Oopsie, sorry about that. Set ID. Oh no, it's in base entity.h. Sorry, pardon me once more. Here it is, and you can see that it takes an integer. So if you just look through WhiteStormLightning.h, you can see those things. And if you want to make a positional or mobile, you should know what those are from the first video. Just in the file for obviously don't use this version of the toolkit, but in the file, go to the directory real quick. For component ID, enter 4 and change that to 1 for positional and 2 for entity, or for mobile. Sorry, and of course 0 for entity. Of course, I just broke the file, but that is what you should do if you want to go ahead a little bit. You don't have to do that. You could just wait for the next tutorial. But thank you for watching. Please rate, comment, and subscribe, and experiment with WhiteStorm. I hope to see you in the next tutorial.